Welcome to episode 890 of the Wrestling Wizard podcast. We're recapping AEW Full Gear. Look, I'm even at the point, I'm not even going to play the intro tonight because, this pay-per-view was flat for a number of reasons. Look, as much as I go ahead and complain about where WWE is right now in terms of their programming and what they're doing in their booking, I really feel like AEW is kind of falling into that same trap. There's just not much there. When you have organizations that, in other times that were put together, and you had factions that had some uniformity, you had roles that the particular people in the group would have within themselves, something there. And, if you left something that was kind of like lingered along too much, then, what would happen? So, with some of the factions they have right now, Undisputed Kingdom, Bang Bang Gang, Hurt Embassy, or the Hurt Syndicate, excuse me, there we go. And then I look at what they're doing right now in terms of the matches, what they did. So they were moving along storylines, no doubt about it. Look, I'm not going to talk about the AJ Justice, the Boom guys from Costco. I'm not talking about that shit. I could care less. I did not watch any of the pre-show. So Anna Jay over Deonna Purrazzo, Buddy Matthews over Dante Martin Commander and the Beast Mortos, Big Boom AJ over QT Marshall, whatever. We get into the actual card. Private Party, they're continuing to book them pretty well. Now they're the new hot tag team once again, and they've held onto the belts for a while, and they put on quite a few tag teams to go and go up against this. So no Young Bucks in this, no FTR. You have three other teams that have been prominently put out there: Acclaimed, Kings of the Black Throne, and the Outrunners, Truth Magnum and Turbo Floyd, which has been getting quite a bit of viral appeal, which is good for them. And the match was fine. I didn't really have anything too much to say about it. The fact that I decided to go with this match first, no big deal to me. MJF and Roderick Strong. With this, we get Adam Cole later on to go ahead and interfere, and the Undisputed Kingdom going after each other because Roderick Strong has left, defenseless because of the fact of the injury that MJF has put upon him once again. And MJF takes pretty good work of this, 13 minutes to go and finish up the match. I haven't liked the way that they put the storyline together in terms of seeing Roderick Strong and Adam Cole facing each other. We're getting facing other opponents to go ahead and get to the 3-match requirement to win so they can take on MJF. I know, that's the part nobody likes about that. I get that part. I get it. But then you move forward and you say, okay, well, MJF not being intricate, like feeling dismissive, feeling absent throughout this storyline, and kind of doing it on automatic pilot and remote, that doesn't work. I don't care how good MJF is. I feel like he mailed it in. And it's not like on him. It's because he's got other projects going on. So I get it, Tony Khan. You want to book MJF and put him in here and get the storyline in. But man, it's like it did not work for me. I felt like there was nothing there. Now I think the match paid off because you get Roderick Strong here. And MJF now is still the IRD Undisputed Kingdom. Got that part. A lot of time for Mercedes Moné and Chris Statlander. No Camille at ringside. And Moné has to go through quite a bit to go ahead and finish off Statlander for that TBS title, which she has already won before. So they kept Statlander very strong. Moné gets the win after it all. Not much here or there feeling about the match. Nor did I get much of a feeling when I saw the match and I saw the build-up to it anyway. It's another feud that really didn't get me up and going and excited. Jay White, Adam Page, that did give me some excitement. I think that what they did, kind of putting them together, was good. They do explain the fact of how it came off of the Strickland and Page deal where the title was on the line and all this thing. We get that part. And Jay White wins. Okay. Of all the matches we really had that really made me feel excited about things was the Kyle Fletcher Will Ospreay match. Because I think it was the best put together storyline there was. The interference of the Don Callis family, the breakup of the Don Callis family, the friction that came from it. Kyle Fletcher moving us up to another level, shaving his head, obviously going through a different persona. And Kyle Fletcher getting the win flat up on Will Ospreay is significant. So Kyle Fletcher being pushed while Will Ospreay takes the pin. That's quite impressive and quite a feat to have. So I think Kyle Fletcher gets an upside right now coming out of this. That's one of the few matches I really felt good about. So Jack Perry holding on to the TNT title and Daniel Garcia in a very long match. Again, they give him 18 minutes, but Daniel Garcia comes away with it. For the fact he's TNT champion, good on him. He finally wins the belt. And he stays face, which I'm surprised to as well. But no, I mean, Jack Perry's on his own. No Young Bucks to be on his side. Nobody else to be on his side. So, like, okay, he's stuck here, and there he goes. Jack Perry loses the belt. I don't know if he stays around for what we're going to see him on anytime soon, but once he loses that TNT belt, okay, that's all there is to it. Felt not much about that either. Like, I mean, if there was anything being done about that, it must have been over on Collision because I did not see it. What can I say? Konosuke Takeshita and Ricochet, and Ricochet takes a loss, but again, now they're using him as more as enhancement talent. Takeshita's still the star right now. Ricochet be putting here, then he give him a whole lot of time with the match. I'm sure that puts a letdown to people that were watching this and thinking there was going to be something more from it. I get that. I get it. But again, there was just kind of like just the build-up, just to have the build-up, and that was it. And Ricochet feeling like he needed to win the IC title, the international title, fine, okay. But I feel like in the storylines they've had, I don't feel like there's been much momentum or emotion or anything like that, or heat. There's no heat in these storylines. None. And that's the part I had the problem with. Throughout all these matches, you know? I don't know. There's been quite a bit with Swerve Strickland, Bobby Lashley. The fact that he wins the match this time around, technical submission, and done. And Lashley being booked strong, and he should be. I don't know what you do going into this feud to make it go a little farther and see what they're going to do with it. It's another storyline that just feels flat. That there's not much time for detail within these storylines. And what bothers me the most is that in previous years, I think AEW would have really put a lot more time and effort. But I feel like there's just certain people that are not back there. Like Tony Khan setting up the matches. I don't know how much of the creative process he has in here as those matches are done. So it's not the matchmaking that gives me a problem. Okay? Seeing the matches on the card as you see them on paper. So the 4-way tag, yeah. Roderick Strong, MGF. Not necessarily for the pay-per-view. I mean, because you're thinking about with Adam Cole, that's the match you're looking for, but we're not getting that yet. And the way they set it up, not necessarily impressed by that. Mercedes Moné, Chris Statlander should have been a much stronger match when you think about, you know, these two are very strong. There's a lot of good story behind it, but I don't know if they told that much of it. They really just focused more on Mercedes Moné having less of a trust of Camille on all that's going on with her and getting hurt more as we go. And the eventual turn that she'll have on Mercedes Moné. Jay White, Hangman Page, we know there was already animosity with them, and that's kind of been set up. The use of Adam Page after this whole thing with Swerve Strickland, I think that's the other part that's been kind of tough for him, is because Adam Page is kind of like just up by the wayside, and it hasn't been much more to be said about it. The Bobby Lashley match, I mean, they're setting things up, but I feel like there's supposed to be something more to it. And I mean, they did stuff with it. And maybe I'm just a little bit fatigued, a little bit tired out of some of the storylines being a little bit of the same. It's part of what it was I felt like it was well. And the Death Riders with Jon Moxley, Marina Shafir, and the deal with Orange Cassidy. So Orange Cassidy does not win. A lot of plunder in the match with Christian Cage and Adam Page. And a setup where Christian Cage was like he was going to go ahead and cash in these contract. Not meant to be. And the constant thing where Darby Allin's trying to be the one that Jon Moxley is trying to go after. It kind of misses out on him. And on top of everything else is that Orange Cassidy and Conglomeration, which is just a put-together group. No rhyme or reason for it. They're just together, conglomerated. That's all it is. The sake of it. We don't really have anything that really says anything about who they are and what they're being put through. So I think there's a missing part of that too. And Orange Cassidy, they kind of make it a little more serious in this part, but it's like the transition to make him more of a main eventer in the current gimmick is tough. About as good as you can get. But yeah, the draw is more Darby Allin trying to go ahead and get retribution on Death Riders. And what are they going to do with that? I don't know yet, but I'm not necessarily feeling too much of it at this moment. I'm just waiting. Now, when it comes down to it, I'm sure there are some people out there listening to this program today, and they're just happy that I am going after AEW and I'm criticizing them. And I know some of you out there are very happy to hear that. I get it. I know. Look at my comments on the TikToks, right? And I see what people are going to say about it and how they feel. I get it, man. I get it. So when I'm looking at what they've already done so far, in terms of what the comments were about what I've said, I've had some. So just in the last week, let's put it like this. In some of my clips that I put out there regarding the Wednesday episode, I had Wing Ding the Corgi write to me and say, probably one of the best years of wrestling in recent memory. You just want to hate the hate. ZZ Bucks wrote to me and said, the in-ring product has been phenomenal, but man, the booking has been so hot and cold across every company. And I can agree with that to a point. I agree with that to a point. Drew wrote to me, returning the Wednesday episode, and said that I don't like the same kind of wrestling that Tony Khan likes. And that's okay, because I know that's normal for some people. You like WWE style, and that's what you're accustomed to. I get it. I understand that. Stark wrote me and said, it's not that serious. You sound too obsessed. Relax. And another one says, just enjoy the product. It's not a task to watch WWE, right? And another one writes here, Travis Preston 639, he writes, this might be the worst take I've ever heard, ! And what's your better comparison? AEW? Good God, yes, that's compelling television, isn't it? Oh, brother. He sounds like a JD from New York fan. Almost sounds like him. C2 comments, Tony Khan just debuted Bobby Lashley against a guy named Cheeseburger. So ask the question again, what are we doing here? I get it. Cheeseburger's enhancement talent, and the idea of having Bobby Lashley come in here to go and squash somebody, I get it. Not necessarily all into it, but you want to have Bobby Lashley have a spotlight. I'm not necessarily invested in the fact of how they did it. It's just not. Rudy Rodriguez commented about when I talk about where CM Punk and where he's coming back now altogether. And he says Punk didn't want to go to Saudi, but Punk versus Drew was the rivalry of the year. And then because CM Punk came back to become the 5th member in Survivor Series with the Bloodline, somebody says, aged well. Yeah, I got some fans that want to go ahead and go after me and talk shit. I get it. I get it. It's not going to change my mind. You just have to realize the fact that, okay, there are going to be some detractors here that are just older fans that have been watching for long enough. And it's like everything else. Like, when we don't get anything that just has that certain feeling to it, the storylines that actually just give emotion and make us really feel something. And it's not some audience participation deal. I saw CM Punk come back. I saw the obvious hints, that Paul Heyman's wearing a red shirt underneath and, he's going to turn on Roman Reigns. I get it. But we're going to just go blindly into that and just say, then, Roman Reigns is an idiot. CM Punk's going to screw him over, and we're going to get CM Punk and Roman Reigns? I don't know. I guess just in time for Netflix. I don't know. I don't really feel much of this at all. I don't like it. But overall, I can just say that with the AEW stuff right now, this is the most underwhelming pay-per-view they've had of their whole career. In the history of the company, most underwhelming. Matches were okay. But like I said, without the storyline, without the build-up, without the heat, it felt flat. Flat on arrival. Not impressed by it. And that takes away from this pay-per-view tonight. I mean, I think of the ones I used to go to watch in the theater, man. Like some of these shows that would be like this. Last year's Full Gear as well. I don't know. It just changed. And I don't know if it is about anything to do with like the amount of pay-per-views and events they have right now. I know people can want to complain about the TV shows and how Collision can't pull a crowd. I get that part. They did fill a full house for Prudential Center in Newark for tonight's show. They did do that. So there's things that people will go to these events for, and they'll buy the tickets. But I don't know, man. It's just like Tony Khan just can't keep these matches being made. They have to have something to go with it. I mean, you just can't serve a dish without a little bit of spice to it, a little bit of preparation, making sure it's cooked and seasoned right. I don't know. It's like just the quality of the feuds has to be amplified. I'm not feeling that at all with this product. And I think that AEW is trying to make the effort, unlike WWE, where I feel like we're just getting predictability. We're just getting what are the things that are going to be put into a match or a feud that'll make the crowd pop. That's it. And it's only the crowd in the arena. That's not counting anybody watching on TV, anybody watching on social media, or trying to draw an audience outside of the echo chamber that is the fandom of my fellow podcast wrestling brethren. That is the dirt sheets. That is the wrestling community itself. They can't look outside of the bubble that they're in. That's how I'm going to wrap it up. That's it. So we'll come back Wednesday, and most likely we'll see what they set up for Survivor Series. We'll get the startup of that, and I'll see if I decide to go and start doing part 1 of the year of wrestling in 2024, and just break down where it's all gone. But anyway, come back this Wednesday for another Wrestling Consumer podcast, because wrestling needs us.